Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, this precious smile here could end world wars. It's definitely the smile we all need during these anxious times. I don't know about you, but I went into this movie with reflecting on the July arson attacks on KyoAni Studios last summer. I mean, how can you not? This movie is the first major project by KyoAni Studios since those attacks. And I think because that was in the back of my head, this movie really hit me in the feels. And as a disclaimer, if you hear some shaking in my voice, that's the reason why. And I will not be monetizing this video to just pay my respects to the now deceased animators and workers that worked on this great film. Now let's talk about this wholesome movie. To me, Violet Evergarden is a series I want to describe as an older and reliable sister. You know she's gonna show up every goddamn time and overexceed your expectations time and time again. Violet Evergarden, Eternity, and the Auto Memory Doll, a spin-off story of the main series, definitely delivered like a reliable onesan. Now, the main theme of the story tackles the classic topic of love, which is absolutely fitting because to jog your guys' memory, in the main series, Violet started working at CH Postal Company to understand the words, "I love you." In this case, it tackles that unfailing, selfless love between two girls that have been separated by unforeseen circumstances. But before we get into the main message of the story, let's explore the surrounding worlds and characters. So the first thing that we get introduced to is what seems to be the two main characters of the story. One character who seems to be arriving to the city of Raiden from some distant land, and the other girl that seems to be locked up in some tower like she's Rapunzel. We cut to Violet, who shows up in her memory doll drip. By the way, guys, it's still crazy that the main series Violet Evergarden ended 2 years ago on April 2018. It is absolutely so good to see the waifu again. When Violet shows up to the girl with the glasses room, we start to finally get some context. This girl is named Isabella, who came from the highly esteemed York family, and she's currently at this isolated all-girls academy dedicated to grooming her to be a good wife worthy for nobility, aka a 70-year-old grandpa. Gotta love that early 90s sexism, people. We learn very shortly that Isabella does not know what she is doing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one Conan O'Brien video of him at butler school. Like, why do I have so many spoons? That is why the York family hired Violet to teach Isabella how to be a proper York woman. At first, Isabella was completely annoyed by Violet because she was literally perfect at everything. Like, imagine if you were this young dame minding her business and all of a sudden, Joan of Arc herself shows up in her life. An all too perfect, reliable onesan that is literally good at everything. However, Isabella starts to warm up to Violet because she starts to realize that Violet is actually a really earnest person that just wants to help her out. I mean, come on. How can you not fall in love with Violet in that suit wedding drip? Like, god damn. I thought I was watching the New York fashion show. So after 3 months of Violet being a husbando butler, Isabella was able to get her shit together and learn the ways of being a proper Yorker. And to kick off her new life as being part of the elite class, Isabella and Violet had a final dance at the school ball. By the way, I want to give KyoAni major props because that dance scene was some god tier animation. After the last dance and the last night before Violet leaves, Isabella told Violet her story and how she ended up where she currently is. She starts the story off by saying that she's actually wasn't born as Isabella York, but as Amy Bartlett. Amy grew up in the slums that straight up look like an aftermath of a city bombing. As a poor person, she had to get by doing all these odd jobs. Then one day, while walking back to her house, she sees this small abandoned girl. Amy pauses, looks at this precious little girl's face and made up her mind. She was going to raise this little girl as her little sister as a big FU to the world that she's living in. Even though she is barely scraping by, she will do everything in her power to ensure that this young girl grows up as a happy person. She named this little girl Taylor, and she did everything she could do to make her happy. Then after some seasons, a noble and his Goonies suddenly show up to Isabella's house. He pretty much pulled off a Darth Vader and said, "I am your father, come with me and I will give Taylor the life she deserves." Guys, when they took Amy away from Taylor, my heart literally broke into 1,000,000 pieces. And now it kind of made all sense to why Isabella was acting like such a Karen in the beginning of the movie. She pretty much sacrificed everything, her identity, her future, and happiness, just for the sake of her adopted little sister. After Isabella recounts that tear-jerking story, Violet pulls out her typewriter and says, "Bitch, it's time to send your little sis a letter." We cut to Taylor in real time, and she seems to be at an adoption home. Our boy Benedict pulls up and says, "Yo, I got some letters for you." And because she can't read, Benedict reads the letters for her. One was from Violet Evergarden, and she pretty much says, "Come to me if you ever need any help." The second one read, "Here's a magic word that will protect you. Just say Amy." Guys, can you guys give me a second so I can call my mom and tell her that I love her? You know that there is so much power behind someone's name, but this scene really took that concept home. So we finally cut to that scene from the start of the movie, and now we can assume that this girl is the older version of Taylor who arrived at the city of Ryden. Just as we see all these technological changes to the city, Taylor arrives to the city for a big change in her own life. We also see Benedict, who at this point is sick of his postal man delivery because he's just doing the same thing every single day. So Taylor arriving at CH Postal Company was pretty much a godsend. On the basis of the letter she received from Violet those many years ago, she's like, "I want to work here. And not only that, I want to deliver mail." Then Benedict is like, "What the fuck? Why in the world do you want to be a mail carrier?" And to surprise Benedict even more, Taylor is like, "I want to be an apprentice under that man," aka Benedict. Then after undergoing a gruesome day of delivering mail, Benedict is like, "Yo, see, like, this is hard work. You don't want to do this anymore, right?" But Taylor had this shoujo sparkle in her eyes, and she's like, "That was the most amazing thing in the world. How were you able to deliver all those letters without even looking at a map?" Shocked, Benedict is like, "Why do you want to be a mail carrier so badly?" Instinctively, Taylor is like, "To bring people happiness, you dummy." So we cut to Taylor trying to adjust to her new life of delivering mail, and Violet, the main waifu, teaching her how to read and write. Then one night, Violet is looking after Taylor, and Taylor starts to indicate that she might be forgetting past memories she had with her older sister. When Violet hears that, she's like, "Bitch, you should write her a letter." Taylor writes the letter with the help of Violet, and the next morning they go to Benedict and says, "We need to deliver this letter to my sister, but we don't know where she lives." Benedict is like, "Y'all playing. This is beyond my pay grade." But Taylor hit him with those puppy eyes, and Benedict finally gave in. After a couple of weeks or so, Benedict found out where Amy lived, and he pulls up in this chromed out two-seater and takes Taylor to deliver the letter. When they approach Amy/Isabella's mansion, Benedict explains that Amy is now married to some count, and the only way we can meet her is by going to the back door, because that is where Amy was seen taking breaks from visiting merchants. We approach the climax of the movie as we see Amy for the first time in 3 years exiting the back of the mansion. As we see her approach the lake, Taylor stays hidden while Benedict steps forward with Taylor's letter. Benedict explains to Amy this is from your little sister, so please read it. Amy opens the letter and it says that Taylor knew she sacrificed everything for her sake, and even if she left her, she will always be her little sister. When Amy finishes the letter, she breaks down crying, and when Taylor sees the raw emotions, the memories of the past come flooding in. From the teddy bears that connected the sisters over thousands of miles, from the bird that was depicted by itself, we are now seeing a priceless reunion of two birds flying next to each other, and we get to see beautiful memory snapshots of Amy showing her unfailing love to Taylor. After that resurfacing of those forgotten memories, Taylor breaks down into a silent cry, Benedict starts to cry, and that's our cue to all start crying together. After the climax of the story, we learn that Taylor gets adopted into the Evergarden family, where she will reside until she is old enough to be a mail carrier. And we cut to the last scene of the movie where Taylor looks out of the window with a priceless smile, implying that one day she will become a proper mail carrier and she will reunite with Amy through delivering mail, which will ultimately show Amy that her love and sacrifice was all worth it at the end. Wow, there is just so many emotions going through my head. I'm still thinking about how this is the first major work put forward by KyoAni Studios, and for some reason this film also gave off that Studio Ghibli nostalgia and that longing feeling. If you guys haven't seen this movie yet, you guys need to see it because I recommend it 1000%. So let me end off by saying this: Best Husbando / Wingman, Violet; Best Dressed Mailman, Benedict; Best Sister, Amy; and Best Little Sister, Taylor. Thank you guys for hearing my TED Talk. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.